Midway through October, let's go through this week, starting on Monday morning for my analysis for the upcoming week and also looking at the news. To be honest, USD bank holiday today, and for the news for USD, nothing's really coming in. We do have a few pound GDP monthly and a pound speech tomorrow, but apart from that, nothing. So fundamentals, apart from maybe tariffs with Trump, aren't going to move the market so much. And if any of you guys are looking for somewhere to centralize all your prop firm accounts, look no further than Prop Firm 1, where you can track, journal, copy trade, everything all in one place, even how much you're putting in and out of prop firms. If you do want to get involved, I will put the link in the description. You can join the beta for free, where you can give this a try before it is actually released properly to the public. So yeah, definitely get onto this one. I've been using it for a few months and I've really enjoyed it, and it's very, very efficient. Give us a go and let me know what you think about it. My analysis for this week then is pretty interesting, because what I want to look at is starting off back at DXY, and I have done a video on going to be looking a bit more into the DXY again, like we previously did. And what I'm looking at here, so what we've done so far is we've filled the gap that we did start the week to the upside with, and we're heading back up at the minute. What my idea is for the week is, because this was liquidity previous week, and we obviously have broken through that, you can see that this is the high. There's a high chance, even though we tapped into this wick, which previously formed the low, we didn't break it when we come up higher. My idea is that we have kind of retested that area. I'm looking for further upside for this week. I do think 100, that's a huge key level, will get tapped later on, either this week or next week. So that's my analysis. For daily time frame, we've had a pullback Friday. We've got a few daily POIs in here. We could pull back into them and continue. But yeah, we don't know how much volume the DXY is going to have in terms of how much it's going to push. If we compare that to EU for the week, we can see we have done the same. We've filled this gap that we did drop from to start. And we had a good weekly closure. One thing we can look at is we formed an order block, which could be the sign. I thought that was going to happen here, but we in fact have left the potential order block now to drop. And I think the higher time frames could, now obviously we don't know yet because this low was never cleared through, that we could end up finding our way back to August low. That could be an idea, but for the minute I'm playing trades to the low we made last week. We're simply looking for a pullback. I kind of like this 2 hour order block sitting there midway through the 4 hour leg. So I've got an idea there and one higher up in case we do pull back a bit further. Something to note, and obviously what I liked, is that we did break this leg now. So this bullish leg has been broken, so we're bearish. The only thing I don't like is there was no imbalances created last week. So we haven't really got any areas on the daily to pull back to. Either that's going to mean we're just going to continue to drop to start the week. We won't get a big pullback. Or we could end up taking out the highs here, and we could be wrong on the idea that we're going to go down further now, but it's looking better than ever for downside, because it's the first time we're actually respecting bearishness and breaking on the higher time frames, which obviously looks good. So my ideas are there for EU, really just waiting for a lower high to be formed for continuations. Same for GU. Realistically, you can see that we are not breaking this level so far on the weekly. We've had 2 taps into it, but we did close strong. So we reacted at it. We broke this low. We've retraced, but we did close strong. To me, we could get a pullback. We've got same thing, an order block. We've got an imbalance fill on the daily time frame. Still got 2 trades running. Obviously, one trade has got TP at this leg low, which is August low, and one's got it at the wick low. That's really what I'm looking for. Continuations. I think going into today, I am looking not going to take higher time frame positions, but in terms of a certain medium time frame, I do have an idea. The idea is based on previous daily high breaking. The reason why is I see this is a pullback, but there's no reaction into any area. There's no POIs in this area, and we formed a lower low. So I'm looking for a inducement of previous daily high, which if we get, I would be expecting us to respect the 1 hour leg and continue down, and that would be a short play to whatever low we made there on Friday. We might not get that low, we might just drop today, and if that is the case, then so be it. But that's my idea. We did get close to getting tagged in, about 3 pips, but that will get taken off today if it doesn't. And I'm really just looking for the same thing. I would love to see these trades play out, of course. Just one thing really, apart from that, it's not going to go into too much detail, is I had a problem with funded next this time. So bright funded, there was an issue last week and the week before. Funded next, I had a surprise when I tried to set positions for this week. Let's go on to it. My phase 1 account on funded next, I'm still in both positions, but my funded account got closed out, and I can show you guys that it closed me out on Friday. unfortunately, for some reason, on these two positions that were still active, I think one of them was this one, you can see my exit time was probably 9:45 UK time, which is just before the close of the week. Now, I don't know why that's the case, because previous weeks it's rolled over. They've got no rule on the weekend holding, and they closed out both of my GU trades, and obviously they both had profit. So on the one hand, I can be satisfied that I've got some profit, and I've took this account from -7 to -0.5%. That's not the point though, and the reason why I get annoyed is because just like what happened with Bright Funded, that time I got 4% profit and I'm annoyed because if I was in a loss and it was a losing trade, week later had a losing trade, trailed me out on the stop loss, and I don't understand why. I'm going to speak to Funded next to see what they say, but it's unacceptable from prop firms closing me out for no reason. It just doesn't make sense. And I can show you guys in the MT5 that the TP, look, it even says the TP's there. Like, I haven't closed this position out. I'm asleep by 8 PM UK time, so there's no way I can close this out. I don't understand what's happened there, and I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll let you guys know later in the week. But another unfortunate thing with the prop firms there, just getting hammered with different prop firms with different rules or different glitches within the prop firms. And to be honest, I'm just excited to go into next year and just focus on the funded accounts and not have to do more challenges, to be honest, because I'm getting sick and tired. And even though this one is a funded account, that's not the point. It's that diversifying with too many prop firms just leaves you open to issues when you try and get that higher capital. But that is the game we play in, isn't it? But we'll see what we're doing later on in the week. I'm sure it'll be a good week. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's a higher probability that we're starting to see some cleaner moves on EU and GU now from what it's been a few months ago. And we'll see where we're at. All right, midweek update. We're on Thursday, so we have seen a few days play out. And the week hasn't gone exactly how I expected it to start with. We did on DXY reject this previous high that we did tap into last week. And I was at that point really expecting price to push up and break previous weekly high. We didn't. We did then create that lower high. Price has now come down into this small daily area that I would like to see respected, to be completely honest. I want to see today close strong and push up for today, but it's a big ask, especially because we have potentially created this fill area in here now that unless we come up and correct that today, could be looking a little bit weak, and we might get a further pullback. Like, you've got to remember that this push was very, very explosive, and there's means for it pulling back even further, to be honest, which we could get. But as for now, we are looking for that continued upside. I do like the DXY to come up still on the higher time frames, of which we've now seen EU tap me in on my first position, which is why I kind of wanted to do this update. What we saw at the start of the week was we did come down, and we ended up using this area as a bit of liquidity. So we've swept this now. That makes me look at this low. We've kind of left a little bit of a gap here. Maybe equal lows to push up if we do go up. Now, obviously, I'm looking for this sell. I'd want to see London and MY continue down because Asians made a top wick. This would also mean that I'd want to see this low around 35 pips away, just push down and clear through and try and engulf yesterday's candle, which is going to be a big ask, especially on GU because EU wasn't as big, but GU's looking very, very strong at the minute for the upside. So we haven't quite done the imbalance fill on the weekly, but I'm looking for this to be a top wick still, and I'm looking for there to be an imbalance left for this order block to be respected at the minute, which we'll have to wait and see what we do today. I think this position can be in a bit of a vulnerable area because of the fact that we could still easily push further up for that downside if we're going to go down. You've got to remember that price is very rangy at the minute, and whilst I have that bias for downside, you've got to see the higher time frames that are still very, very bullish overall. And really, this low I have marked in, we didn't break that last week. So if we do fail it again this week, it's not going to be looking the best for downside. And that's obviously why I got out of this position at the lows here last week to see if we would create that further low, which we did. So I think it's a means of now needing to see that downside for the rest of the week at this point. Otherwise, we're going to have a bullish weekly close. And as for GU, we've actually seen us pull back significantly, which is not great for my trades. Obviously, was down here at the start of the week, and we actually cleared previous weekly low to then go up, and we've potentially left an order block in here. So GU is looking really messy at the minute, and obviously I'm still holding my trades. They're still at stop loss as well, so I haven't moved to break even or anything like that. That's not really how I play things. So I'm still looking for there to be a pullback and a continuation, but these highs could be in jeopardy, to be honest, and obviously my positions are safe. But if we do come further up, and you've got to remember this area was left untapped, there's all the chance we could still do that before we come down. So I'm not ruling that out. We could just be stacking up a lot of liquidity there. But yeah, I'm not taking any more extra positions on GU, like I said, because a higher time frame, because I've already got 2 in, this one would be too low. And there's jeopardy of me having that high swept. That wouldn't really make sense to have collateral damage there as I'm already in trade. So I think EU was the better play to make at this point so far in the week. And we'll come back tomorrow to finish the week. Now, I don't really think we've got any news now. We had GDP come out this morning, same as expected for the pound. The rest of the week is looking very dry. I think tomorrow we haven't really got anything. So yeah, I mean, with the government closed, it's just all to do with the Trump and the trade wars with China, really, to finish the week. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I'll do an update. And yeah, that is how the midweek is currently looking. All right, Friday's here. Let's go through the rest of the week, how we have moved, because it's not how I expected the week to go at all. And I'm in a bit of a situation now where I don't really know what's going on in the markets, and it's not a very good position to be in the fact that if you were to look at this weekly close, and I was expecting DXY to continue up, are we pretty much just consolidating in between, this low and this high? And if we were to get this into a box here, you can try and make sense of it and play from highs to lows, right? But am I going to be getting stuck trading EU and GU just because we're in a range? We've got tariff stuff going on. There's a lot of volatility with that. We've got the government closed. Are we going to get a breakout until we get the government back open? Now, that's something I'm not sure on. And very, very tricky one, because I don't like to close out my trades. Yet at the same time, I think I'm realising it's all about preserving capital at this point. I gave EU a chance and that trade lost. I'm looking back at what happened here because I caught a win last week. And you've got to remember that I was saying a couple of weeks ago, and this is where I can accept my mistakes, is that I said the better sells are below here. I've been saying it. And I got caught out in this area, lost 8 trades, won a 2R. That's minus 6R. Gone and lost another trade, minus 7. So I'm just giving back my wins to the market. If you look at it like that, yeah, I played the range, fair enough. But I've played the range there. So am I just getting caught out here? Now I'm in this position. I'm not really sure, really, if I'm in the right position to be trading. Like, of course, it's a move based on my strategy, right? But the week closes like this, I'm going to sit here and say, what is price actually doing? We're stuck between this low and this high. The candles are barcoding. There's no analysis. There's no trend in the market. There's no trend. And that's the problem with how we're looking right now. So at least for EU, I've sat there and said, I'm gonna wait for the rest of the week to play out. I'm not going to close, but this evening I'll be making a decision basically on what I'm doing. And whether that means I'm just waiting for a sell back below here or actually wait for a confirmation, I'm not really sure, because I'm one of them traders that if I close out early and it plays out, I'll say, well, why did I close out? And I think there is valid reasons to close out, but I ain't really sure. And then as for GU, GU's come up as well this week, and I easily could say the same thing about where GU is sitting right now. And we're bouncing between this low and this high. But really, this was the level I had in from a while ago, that we're not breaking above. And if we're not going up, then this is the inducement that until that's taken, I'm not biased for buys. So this kind of going up doesn't make sense to me that much, to be honest. And obviously you can see it now, it's come up a little bit, took previous daily high. So this trade is now pretty much running at break even, and this other trade here has a bit of profit. But yet again, like, I'm not wrong, but at the same time, like, I don't want to be just making poor decisions when we're bouncing between levels. So at the minute, I'm really unsure where I stand, and as a result of this, obviously being a lot of unrealised profit last week for it to come back, it's a case of now analysing more logically and, like, is it about preserving capital in these periods? Because we're still trending down, but obviously it's more to see how this candle reacts, and it can keep chopping down all at once, and it might just keep chopping down, and in that way my analysis is completely right. But I'm getting to the point now where I've been in this trade for nearly a month. It's a very long time, and it's all right me doing that in the back testing, but we've started to see structural changes to the downside. We're creating imbalances back to the upside on both. I'm really starting to be more thoughtful in my process of thinking now. Got to be honest, the emotions have ran really high this week, seeing how it was looking good at the start and then just stopped playing out pretty much. And yeah, it could be a phase of pullback, which is fair enough, but it's a whole bunch to sit through in the high time frames, that's for sure, when the weeklies are really not making as much sense as the dailies. So that's going to be a hard one, but I've decided, and the thing I would get more and most worried about is the fact that I was in profit on the FTMOs, and I'll go to the accounts now. I was in profit on the FTMOs, and obviously one of them's never had the refund. So for my sanity, I closed this position out on the smaller account. Both GU trades in a tiny amount of profit, but it's not really about the payout. The payout's like $90. I'm getting that £800 refund, which is nearly £1,000, which is like over $1,000. To me, that's important at this point to secure that refund, because if I go back into drawdown on that, it could be another 2-3 weeks or even a month before I get back in profit on that account. And maybe I'll look back in hindsight and say I shouldn't have closed out, but I've been waiting for this refund since December when I purchased this account, and it's now October. So at least I know, despite that going up about 6k, it was up 6k, I think I made the right decision there. Like, people can say what they want, so be it, but I believe that in the moment that I had with price pulling back like that, if I can just secure that, then at least one of my accounts is back to break even, it's ready to go again, and I've got the refund, so the account is risk free at that point. And that's what does me, is I always want to vouch, try and secure the refund. Maybe it's just cope, but until you're in that position where you passed the account, I passed it in May or June, and I still didn't have that first payout. So payout's a payout at the end of the day. It's more about the refunds. The fivers and all the other accounts, every single one, even that other FTMO, I'm in all the trades still. I haven't closed out yet because I'm waiting for the end of today. And we can see that, yeah, I'm down 7% of the fivers on the balance because I had that loss yesterday. But these free trades running, so it all depends how they play out, really. Same with the funded next. This trade's still running, and it's in a bit of profit now with them 2 GU trades. Then my funded account. So what actually happened with my funded account, and I said about I got closed out. The reason why I got closed out was because it hit the end of the date, and that was halfway through the month. They do it in a weird 3-week cycle for some reason. So I got closed out obviously in the last week, and maybe it will be a blessing in disguise if GU decides not to go further down. And I ended up minus 0.5% from a minus 7%. So I've done really well to secure back all that drawdown, and now I'm only down 1.2% because I did have that extra loss on EU. And then Bright Funded, I'm down probably about 4% now. You can see it's not looking too good, but I am in a couple of positions still. Funded Rock, I'm in EU again from the trades this week, and obviously I passed with GU last week. Now we're sitting at a point at which I'm in my second trade on this one. So I did take one loss, and you can see there I'm down 1.5%. And that's what I'm going to go for on phase 2, 1.5. So yeah, see how these trades are looking later in the day. But I think maybe just looking back, and I think it's only to look back on, is what's the biggest thing about the funded accounts? It's always about preserving the capital, which sometimes you can easily forget when you've got these huge trades running and you're thinking about the overall total profit. And like, I haven't had a payout since June, and I'm sitting there going, well, this is going to be a huge payout if it comes in. Yeah, but you could have secured a lot, and you could have had all your funded accounts back to entry, if not in profit. So maybe it is a mistake. Maybe it's something I need to think about when I am up 4 or 5%. But I'm very stubborn in the way I like to keep my trades running. I like to see the analysis play out, but maybe it is just that way when it comes to the live account. You can do that. But on the funded accounts, you are looking to make that few percent and withdraw, really. For my sanity, I could have closed out last week and made, 16, 17k profit on the FTMOs. So it's the first time I've been in that position. I had a trade before when I was 200k funded, running 5, 6k profit, and then end up taking me out in a loss. That was a hard one to swallow. And obviously this one now is a completely different scenario where loads more is on, and now it's coming back to that point where I'm not really in profit anymore, at least on the overall balance of being able to get a withdrawal. So I'm going to have to think how that affects me, because yeah, there's obviously the theory of trading, but prop firms are a completely different game where, especially now, I lose these 2 GU trades, and that's the biggest problem. If I lose the 2 GU trades on my FTMO, then I'm down 3-4% on my account. Whereas if I could have secured that 3-4% profit, would have done me a lot better. So I don't really know. Something for me to think about. Obviously, I'm always here to share my thoughts and feelings, the emotions that I go through, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm not perfect. And no one who's ever been funded and is trying to get a lot of funded accounts has done everything right all the time. And I'm just there to really showcase that. At least now, for example, the trades don't win. Funded next, I blow that 100k challenge, 200k phase 1 challenge. My refund on FTMO pays for that new account. So that's my mindset. And yeah, let me know what you guys think about what happened there, because obviously I know a lot of guys would have thought probably should have been closing out last week. with especially the market conditions. But I really started to think we're going to start to see that trend. But maybe we're just not. I don't really know. Who knows, man? Who knows? See you guys later. Take care. Peace. We'll see where we are. But I'm learning a lot in the market conditions that are being quite poor and very choppy at the minute. That my mindset needs to be preserving capital in the times where we're not trending. And at the minute, we're not. So I'm sure I'll make the right decision either way. Going to next week strong.